So Jordan, if you want to kind of start things off, we'll start at the top of the agenda and
Great.
I'll work through the slides.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a pretty busy agenda for y'all today. We have a lot of good council business for us to talk through. We have, oh, I'm actually live editing this right now. So David, hopefully you don't mind. Uh, Perfect. Yeah. So we do have plenty of council business for us to talk through today. We actually have 6 recommendations from the committees to talk through. So we want to spend the bulk of our meeting on that. And then we do have a quick report out from the Rocket Mortgage Classic from the folks that are there. So like Michael, our star reporter, will be able to tell us a little bit about that event. And absolutely, if you have questions about tickets, please email me directly. I obviously won't be responding during this meeting, but you can also, shoot me a text or whatever if you need to get a hold of me. I know, David, you have my phone number. We'll figure it out. And then we do have some just, general updates from the committees about things like Digital Inclusion Week, and then a few fun announcements, and we are closing it out. So we can go ahead and get started there. Okay, so we have, ooh, what did I click on? Yes, Connect Through and 3, just a little bit of background. Everybody on this call should know, but it is a citywide data-driven digital inclusion strategy and operation, which is made possible by all our wonderful partners. We always like to call out the city and Rocket Mortgage and Microsoft and United Way, but all of you are equally important members of Connect Through and 3. Yes, and we just really want to hone in on the purpose of these council meetings. It's really designed as a place for the community, all of you to give feedback on all of the different recommendations that are coming through the committee process. So we really need all of you to be the voice of the community and provide that community sentiment. Highlight areas where, maybe there are some unanswered questions that we need to address before these recommendations go before the Joint Assembly or the board, and, really have a chance to interact with the different committees that you aren't part of. So we really want to make sure that these council meetings are a productive space where we're able to talk through these ideas in a constructive way. So starting off with some of the old council business, as you may have noticed, we've changed up the agenda a little bit. So we're really focusing on kind of the business part of the meeting first, kind of the meat and potatoes here, and then we can move into all the fun announcements towards the end instead of up top. So starting with old council business from our previous council meeting, some updates on the recommendations that were presented previously. We do have some approvals. So the youth camp at Osborne Neighborhood Alliance is now open for registration. That was funded through Connect Through and 3. That is coming up very quickly, Monday, August 15th. So if you know of anybody who might be interested in registering, we will go ahead and drop that link in the chat. I'll grab it in a second. And just give folks an opportunity to enroll in that program. And then we have the digital broadcasting program launching soon at Cyber Ed Center. So we'll be able to share information about how to register for that as soon as the program launches. And then we wanted to share that, not only do we have 17 new neighborhood tech hubs launching soon, but we have created a map of where all their locations are, and that lives on our website. And I will provide a link to that as well, just so folks can kind of check out how the network is being built out through Connect Through and 3. And the cool thing about that map is that you can actually toggle on some different features. So you can see where library locations are, you can see where Comcast lift zone locations are. So you really get a sense of how the connectivity landscape in Detroit has grown. And now for the fun part, and the bulk of our meeting is on new council business. So these are specifically recommendations that have come through the committees, been through the entire committee approval process, and they are ready to go, ready to be presented to the Joint Assembly or board, depending on how much money that they're asking for in order to be able to support these programs. So we have two committees who will be presenting these today. First, we have the Devices and Connectivity Committee, and then we have Digital Literacy and Skilling, and they each have 3. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Mr. Underwood to kick us off with the first 3. And we are looking for really productive discussions around these. So, initial high-level assessments, if there are any things that you kind of catch right away as like, oh, wait, did we think of this partner? Or, oh, did you know that this thing is happening in the city that might impact this? So we really want this to be a super productive time and not like 45-minute discussions of each one, because we do only have 45 minutes for this part of the meeting. So we will let you take it away.
And yes, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. I am driving, so I will keep my camera turned off, please. So the Devices and Connectivity Committee has the responsibility of assuring that the residents of the city of Detroit have access to devices and high-speed internet access to be able to do their lifestyle, which is work, healthcare, education, and all the things that we use the internet and devices for. It's our responsibility to make sure that those devices are available and the connectivity is available. And so this particular proposal for housing insecurity came in from the community, where they were looking at the homeless population as an at-risk group that needed to be looked at. And how do we serve those with individuals within this initiative? Our committee has taken that information. We are proposing to put out, as was suggested, public charging stations in the communities to allow for those who are at risk of homelessness or are homeless to be able to have a place where they can go to, 1, connect to the internet, and 2, to charge their devices, and possibly 3, to receive some type of support services while they're there. And this particular case, what we're proposing is we've already been approved tentatively for a budget of $50,000 or less through the Joint Assembly to do a pilot project for these charging stations. Our goal is to, we've already, from a committee, we're asking that, and we're asking approval. We have a IT specialist on our committee who our committee made a recommendation that we actually do this pilot and kind of contain it within this $50,000 price range, purchase several benches, place these benches, and then install and maintain these benches. And we're looking to do that through Evans Consulting as our vendor to actually put the benches in place. The vendors that we are looking at, we're currently gathering all the details to put together the final quote that will be presented to the Joint Assembly that will outline the number of benches, the locations of the benches. We're also doing a survey, if you will, of Covenant House and Detroit Rescue Missions Ministry. Covenant House helps at-risk youth for homelessness, and the Detroit Rescue Missions Ministry helps adults and families. We're surveying those individuals at those locations through a survey we've created to get their feedback of what their needs are, so that we're hearing the voice of those we look to serve. So our goal is to come back in August with a final report or a proposal that will outline our strategy for placing several benches in strategic locations across the city, tracking their usage, and then determining further from there, how do we expand this model, or if in fact where the value might lie and if it needs to be expanded. So that's the first proposal or suggestion that we're asking the council to get feedback on.
Okay, so just pausing for a moment on that one. So this idea was presented previously, but we wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to hear more of the specifics of this. So if anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to use the raise hand icon or put your question in the chat. Chrisara, I see your hands raised.
Yes, thank you. This was actually my suggestion that I submitted, but it was very raw. And I love the way Mr. Underwood and his team was able to make it put this together to actually vet the actual need for it. But I would just like to know if I could be part of the conversation with no other stake in it, to see how it's developing and where it actually goes.
No, we have no problem with that. You can share your information with me. You can probably just send me an email so that I have your contact, and I'll make sure that we can keep you in the loop of when we've finalized our proposal and our plan, and when we have our internal meeting, which will probably be the first week, next Thursday, probably the first Thursday in August. We meet first and third. And I can maybe invite you to that if we're ready to present this to the committee for its approval and review.
Awesome. I like that. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Fantastic. And reading a question from the comments since you're driving, Mr. Underwood, Marletta is curious if there are any other nonprofit partners that you're engaging with during the pilot, or if it's just those two specifically that were chosen.
Those two are just two that I happen to personally know. I mean, this survey that we've generated can go to anybody. It's a monkey survey, so I can send it to whomever, and they can put it to whatever other groups. I mean, the more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. The more input, the better, right?
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, Marletta, I'm just dropping my email in the chat again. If anyone needs to coordinate through me, I'm always happy to do e-intros and make sure if there's an organization that you represent that you think would be a good fit for this survey, please let me know and I will make sure that they get added to that list. Fantastic. Do we have any other questions or comments about this recommendation, or should we move to the next one? All right, it looks good. Let's move on.
Okay, the Centers for Success. The Centers for Success is a nonprofit here in the city of Detroit that's offering literacy education for young school-age kids. So we understand that reading is fundamental, and that is one of their strong points that they're working with Connect 313 initiative on. They've requested 30, and on here it says Chromebooks. It wasn't necessarily Chromebooks that they requested. They requested 30 devices, I'll say, as well as $10,000 a year for 2 years, or excuse me, for 3 years. So this was a total of $30,000 over a 3-year window, $10,000 a year, and then the one time was the 30 Chromebooks. Now the Chromebooks would be used to expand the program because they are getting more clients and more organizations who have children school age that are requesting their services. So they actually work with organizations who have clients, and then they go into those organizations and provide their services. These the $10,000 will be used to engage a managed IT service partner that will actually make sure that all of their equipment there is secure, that it is up and running. If there's any issues, that they have help desk type activities, and they have the ability to remote into someone's device as they're doing a lesson and say they have a problem. So this really gives them a true sense of security of making sure that the program that they have is up and running, because without the program up and running, what they do is not going to get done the way that they do it. So it's an important part of their work to have this IT part, if you will, efficiently mapped out on how they do their work. And so this $10,000 is, again, for every year, for 3 years, to have that managed IT service partner provide that support to keeps them up and running and keeps the program happening. So we approved this within our committee. Not only did we approve it, this fits right into the criteria where we feel that distribution of devices should be given a priority for education, access to healthcare, employment and economic empowerment, as well as creativity and cultural uplifting. So it fits right within our space. And so we approved it overwhelmingly. But not only that, we are also looking at following this up, validating their metrics to see the improvement in reading amongst these young folks. And if in fact, it seems like it's already proven itself, but if it continues to prove itself, then we would want to proactively not wait for them to ask for another 30, but we would look to proactively promote this across our community as something to uplift and make sure that all of our young age kids who are struggling with reading get the same opportunity.
Awesome. So let's pause, see if there's any questions. Again, feel free to use the raise your hand function or throw any questions in the chat. Make sure that everybody feels really solid here.
I had a
Alright.
question, Jordan, and forgive me if I missed this. So it was, so the suggestion is coming for every year for 3 years. So would the approval that we ask for be for 3 years worth of funds, or would it just be, getting it approved for every year?
What we did, what I did, and I did speak with Miss Andrea, the executive director of Center for Success, and we told her that it's going to be, even though we approved her, we are approving her year by year. So every year it'll be a review of, well, how did it go? And we'll determine whether or not we'll continue to move forward. So she's getting approved from our committee's perspective for the first year of $10,000 and the request for the 30 Chromebooks. That's what we're approving and wanting to give approval for today. Next year, that 10,000 is going to have to be approved based on the metrics that have been established and making sure that the program is meeting the metrics that we would expect or hope. And then we can validate and move forward from there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think we are good on that one. We can move to the next one.
Okay, the device distribution. Well, as you well know, the Devices and Connectivity Committee, as I shared earlier, has the responsibility for assuring the residents have proper devices and connectivity. And so this request is one that we are proactively taking. I would say that the majority of all the requests that we have received thus far at Devices and Connectivity have been for devices. And in addition to that, maybe some type of funding for training or support services. So, but what we're getting is trickling in. Somebody wants 30 over here, a school wants 700 over here. Another group that's doing some things with prisoners wants 30 over here. And, we got the kids who are doing cooking down at the school, they want 40 or 50 over there. And what ends up happening is we go through this process that we're going through right now to talk about it, to get approval, to say we approved it as a committee. We get another approval from the council or get questions and feedback. And then we go to joint assembly and the board and they vote. And then, it's a long process, right? And so what we're wanting to do is be more proactive, understanding that devices is key to what the work we're doing. So we need to be able to have devices readily available and not have to go through a 6 or 2 or 3 month window before a device can be given to someone who needs it today. So with that being said, we're requesting that the committee be allowed to purchase 2,000 devices, that we're asking for funding for 2,000 devices, laptops, Chromebooks, etc., that we will then proactively house and do inventory control over, but then we will proactively work with our community partners based on the criteria that I spoke about earlier of education, access to healthcare, access to employment and empowerment. And we will work with those organizations that serves individuals in those spaces and proactively look to reach out to meet the need of those who don't have it, instead of waiting on them to try to come to us to tell us they have the need. So in this case, we want to be more proactively putting devices out into our community and making sure that at the end of the day, a metric that we as a Connect 313 initiative and devices and connectivity committee can say that we've distributed X amount of devices throughout the city of Detroit. X amount of people have gotten opportunity to get employment and get access to healthcare. We need to do that more rapidly, and because the need is here today. We can't wait forever to wait for people to ask for the help. And we pretty much have what we would call a standard device that has a set amount of memory that is capable of connecting to Zoom meetings, connecting to healthcare, doing, if you will, telehealth applications, online learning. There is a basic spec that has kind of been looked at, and based on what we've previously looked at, we figured those devices are going to come around that $400 to $550 range, and we're looking, if you will, then to source that by putting out requests from different providers to see who might be able to really give us a good value for our money. That's pretty much all I have there.
Thank you, David. So just pausing for a moment to see if there's any feedback on this recommendation, any suggestions. Yes, JR, I see your hand's raised.
Yes, question. Will these 2,000 devices be purchased at one time? I may have missed that. I'm sorry.
Initially, my thought would be yes. And because I can give you an example, we've had a pending ask out there, and I don't think it's going to necessarily go away. We had one ask last year for 700 devices, but that was for a school year. School's out now, so I'm anticipating that could come back again, right? So right there, you're almost getting half of your laptops gone just by one request. So what we want to make sure is that we have adequate amount, and with this proactive approach of reaching out to community partners and actively engaging them in what we're doing, I think that number is not overwhelmingly as though they're going to be sitting on some shelf not being used. I think we can pretty much get rid of those pretty quickly if we proactively use the approach I spoke about.
And my follow-up to that is that I'm sure the committee probably discussed this, but just in terms of course, securing the devices that have not been allocated, and or also having a conversation about like a line of credit or revolving credit or something to be able to meet those needs quickly, as opposed to actually having the devices. I just wondered if the committee considered that.
You mean the line of credit, instead of having the inventory, it's like, okay, we buy them as we need them and we can just go get them pretty quickly?
Yes, as opposed to having to be responsible for storing them, inventory and tagging them and so forth, and distributing them all at one time. I think that
I think what you're sharing has good merit. We didn't go too deep in depth in the discussion of maybe having, I'm familiar with having access to being able to write it as you need it versus having an inventory of it. And I think it makes good sense. And I will take that into consideration and evaluate whether that makes more sense than the inventory side. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great addition to this recommendation. Also in the chat, we had a question around warranties and maintenance. Like, would that be part of the purchase of the device? Would be to purchase from a vendor that offered, including some kind of tech support, some kind of warranty, that kind of thing? Or would that be a separate ask?
That could be, it could be a separate ask based on maybe the vendor who might be selected to provide the device may not have all those other capabilities we might want. And so it may be you're bringing two different components together. It could be one sourcing. We don't know until we actually go out there and start interviewing and entertaining folks who would like to take a look at bidding on giving us these devices. So,
Yeah.
there'll be more to come from that,
Okay, great. It seems like people are very interested in this idea. Yes, I definitely see a comment that there are vendors who can provide those warranties, like an extended warranty when you buy
Yeah.
the device. So that would absolutely be something that's worth exploring.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Another question just came in the chat. Could individuals who complete a training opportunity connected to the collaborative have an opportunity to get a device to access these devices? Would that be part of the distribution policy?
I would say that anybody who needs a device gets an opportunity to access this device. It's really just a matter of us having a process in place whereby they can either qualify or request, right? And
Mhm.
so, yes, I mean, these devices are for everybody. It's not for just those who we think need them or the organizations that I talked about we might partner with. It's for everybody. So, yeah, somebody's taking some kind of class and you're getting them an incentive that says, hey, you complete this, you get a laptop. Hey, you can work with our committee and we can make sure that we source one of those for you because we're all in this together, and if you're whatever committee is serving people, you can look at this as part of your inventory too. It's not our inventory, it's Connect 313's inventory, it's the community's inventory.
Fantastic. Oh, yeah, I see. Man, so many great questions around, how the devices would be stored and maintained, how we can develop a list of like those good quality vendors who offer things like extended warranties, which I think would definitely be part of the RFP process. And then there was a comment about adding some kind of training component as a requirement for receiving the devices is probably a good call just to make sure that people actually know how to use the thing that we're giving them. So, building that in as well. Wow, yeah, a lot of support for this idea, a lot of great questions and comments. So we will make sure that we're kind of gathering all of those up and packaging them up to be sent back to the committee as well.
Thank you. Now, I will say just that last piece you mentioned, I did say that we are truly requiring that, folks, we're not just handing devices out. Oh, come get you one. I got one and they run off. No, there is going to be a set standard of, to get the device, there needs to be some handoff to where we're sure that you're going to be using it and you have to actually the connectivity to use it. So to get the device is just one thing. You need to be able to be connected and you need to know how to use it. And so we're going to focus on that as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I see a comment about having maybe some kind of quick test to make sure that they actually, know how to turn it on and stuff, and then we can connect them with the appropriate training based on, what they answer. So yeah, a lot of really, really great feedback that I'll make sure gets packaged up for your committee.
All right.
And I think that's what we've got here. Thank you, Mr. Underwood. With that, unless anybody else raises their hand, we will move up to, just a question. How did you select 2000? Was that based on like a specific ask that you received, or just like you just wanted to start with something?
Wanted to start with something. It's like,
Yeah.
The original should have said 2,500, so, but I mean, when you look at the budget dollar amount, I guess you got to start somewhere. And I know based on it wasn't just pulled out of the air, based on some of the previous requests. We know we've gotten a request for 700 at one time. Then we got requests for 50, so we've had in different levels of requests, and, we figured this 2,000 would be a good start.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, with that, we will move on to the Digital Literacy and Skilling Committee. I'm not sure who is with us.
This is Paula. I'm on.
Paula, hi.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I believe Q is on as well. I haven't seen Jamie yet, but we're here.
Awesome. So, no worries, you're fine. So with that, I will hand the mic over to you to talk about the 3 recommendations from Digital Literacy and Skilling.
All right, we're ready. Our first suggestion is Cleary University STEM Camp, as you can see, and the committee approved this one. With Cleary University hosting 2 weeks, 2 sessions of a 1-week summer camp, exposing middle school students. So we did hear you, although this one was kind of in the pipeline, and I believe that was some of the feedback before, that want to start with younger kids, not just go to high school, to expose them to STEM concepts. And these participants will, in fact, gain real-world problem-solving experiences. They will receive direct instruction, and they will also have the hands-on experience in their learning process. In addition to gaining the knowledge and skills, there will also be that development of their critical thinking skills, which is so essential to young people. And the cost for this particular suggestion is $18,500. And the committee, as I said, has approved this one.
Fantastic. Pause for some questions here. Taquan, I see your hand is raised.
Hey everyone. I know y'all missed me. I got so many things that I want to say about this one. I think this is a great concept. One thing that's coming to mind, so I'm reading this concept and I immediately thought about like the Lab Drawer and other Detroit-based programs and products that speak to these, youth STEM education, right? And something that's coming to my mind is, should there be not necessarily a requirement, but maybe part of the recommendation building process when we come across suggestions like these is to assess the environment for Detroit-based businesses, nonprofits, organizations, whatever, that offer something either along those lines or that could supplement it, so that we are promoting Detroit-based organizations in our suggestions, especially when an organization that's coming to us is not necessarily like from Detroit. Like they might have a presence obviously in Detroit, but it's not like a headquartered here type situation. So that's just something that's coming to my mind, because I immediately thought about the Lab Drawer and I was like, oh, like they probably could offer their kits or like do some sort of collaboration, and just thinking about our mission as an organization and our the importance of including Detroit residents and entrepreneurs. I just wanted to say that, so I'm going to go on mute again and stop being chatty patty.
Yeah, see, we also have a comment from Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. This is awesome, Paula. I'm so excited that your committee approved this. I just want to raise awareness to the group that this STEM summer camp, I believe, occurred already and wrapped up on July the 22nd. Human IT was very fortunate to come alongside Cleary and donate 25 devices so that they could run the camp, that they will then continue to keep as devices that they will use going forward. So I just would want to make sure that, whatever funding is given, if it is specifically for that, or if they have something else coming up, that the organization is clear on where the funding is going.
Thank you, Jen, for that. And thank you also, Tequan, for your comment as well. So we could go back to them and confirm and about the reimbursement process. Okay.
Yeah, I think that I see Taquine's
Hey.
chat there. Yep.
Hi guys, this is Q. I'm at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. I just wanted to chime in for a second. I got to hear a piece of some comments. It's busy in the booth. You'd be happy to know. Yes, I am aware that camp has taken place. The point of this funding is to have a Detroit-based staff and to have that training camp in Detroit locally. The way it's being run right now is they're using Cleary professors on loan. And so it's not very Detroit based as it is currently. So the funding that we are providing is to get that site to be in Detroit with Detroit coordinators for that program. If that answers some of the questions, some of that I missed, but I just wanted to add that to this conversation, that we are trying to get those resources into Detroit City proper.
Thank you. Because that is part of what the question. The questions were.
And so, yeah, the funding would be for moving forward. So we're not looking to, they did inquire about funds for this year, but we didn't get it through the approval. This is looking forward to moving the camp forward. So just so that we're not going to be paying them for a camp they already did. This is to build a camp for the future in Detroit. I think that's all the things I caught that I thought needs to be addressed. And I'm here if you need me. Go ahead.
Thanks, Q. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I think we addressed the one that's in the chat and Jen's question. I don't want to rush us away from this if there are any other questions. Okay, Jen, your hand is still up. Do you have another question or no? I'm going to take that as a no. So I think we're good to move on to the next one. Thank you.
Okay, the next one, as you can see, would require to be going to the board. And it is the Community Technology Program, CTP, at Empower My Future. This particular program is focused on returning citizens as well as the individuals, connected to their families, and then even other community members, where these community members will be assisted in various digital areas that they need to grasp as they are re-engaging themselves within the community. This community technology program will help bridge the divide so that they can learn various technologies such as, but not limited to, ATMs, even phones, things that, oftentimes we take for granted, how to utilize their phones, how to utilize health aspects, healthcare technology, and integrate that into their everyday life, as well as looking for work opportunities and building online learning portfolios, learning how to apply for jobs digitally, and also interview. So it really provides this exposure and integration for them. And this will be done with small groups of 10 to 20 participants in roughly a 3-week cycle. at various locations so that, it's not just limited to one side of town. The cost that's being requested is, as you can see, based on the budget, $162,387 to run from late 2022 through 2024.
Fantastic. Thank you. I see some comments coming in. Tally of how much we have available. We are really trying not to work from a scarcity mindset, so we're not necessarily tracking things against like a given amount at this time. I see Donnell has raised hand.
Just realized I was on mute. Thank you. Hi, I'm really excited. I run the Green Door Initiative in Detroit, and we in part do workforce development. About 50% of the people we serve are those that are formerly incarcerated. This particular program would be so valuable. How would an organization like ours sort of connect to this resource? We offer computer training, but it would be great to connect with an entity like this to deliver that. We've trained so far about 800 folks over our inception and placed them into the environmental sector for jobs. And so this is very valuable. We deal with this a lot in terms of just struggling with technology for those that are, the most recently released the phones are and everything are really confusing for them. So what would be the process for a group like ours to partner?
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute, Danielle, so I apologize. But that's wonderful. Empower.
Paula, I think you're back on mute.
I am. Okay, I don't know how that's happening. Sorry about that. Yes, so that would be a connection with Empower My Future. And I believe I heard Krishara Allen earlier, Ms. Krishara, who works with Empower My Future. So that would be the direct connect for you all.
Yes, that is wonderful, what you all are doing already. We would love to connect with you. I did put my email in the chat for you, Ms. Wilkins.
Fantastic. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand, and I'll make sure to highlight if you have anything you'd like to add. If not, we will move on to the third recommendation from Digital Literacy and Skilling.
Yes, our third final suggestion today, and thank you all for listening, is from Perscolas. And Perscolas, many of you are aware of it because they were featured at our, I don't want to call the wrong thing, community conversation, right? So dynamic presentation during that time. And so this particular suggestion came to us, and you will know that when we received it, we did go back and ask them to ensure, a certain number of Detroiters who they could confirm would receive the training. So the purpose of this one is that in 2022, Perscolas would train at least 120 individuals for tech careers, advancing economic inclusion at the individual and community levels. And based on enrollment, they anticipate at least 50% of the individuals will be City of Detroit residents. And that was something we wanted to make certain would happen. There are even longer term targets that they are sharing. And once those learners actually graduate from the training, they're able to obtain one or more relevant industry recognized IT certifications, as well as gain employment. The cost that's presented $75,000 with the budget breakdown of $35,000 for recruitment and marketing materials, $40,000 for software purchases, and a total program budget to serve 120 students of 1.5 plus million there. So of that, the cost being sought is $75,000.
I have a question.
Sure.
One, I want to go back to the breakdown of the city of Detroit residents versus others. It says at least 50%. So I guess my first question is this 75,000 looking to be spread across their whole group of trainees, which would include some non-Detroit based folks, or is the 75,000 for the 50% that are going to come from the city of Detroit to make sure that they get served?
Yeah, just jumping in, I did include a little bit of a breakdown of that 75K, just that the entire budget for the program for all 120 students, including non-Detroiters, would be 1.5 million. So this 75K is for recruitment and software purchases. So it's not programmatic dollars necessarily.
Okay, so then that brings me to my second question. I just want to be clear as to Connect 313's focus point, because everything has been about the city of Detroit, right?
Detroit all the way.
And it's about its residents. So now when you come and get one that's across the board, I just want to be clear on how we're going to handle these, because I'm of the opinion and the impression that the work and the funds and the things that we're doing are to help residents of the city of Detroit.
Absolutely.
Hi, Jordan, and thanks for that question, David. I'm J.R. Sledge. I'm actually the managing director of Perscolas, and while we are a national organization, we came to Detroit in 2019, and when we first arrived in Detroit, we only reached approximately 24% of Detroit locals, right? Residents of Detroit. One of the reasons why was because of the disconnectivity that we have in the city. And so when you talk about actually recruiting and training Detroiters, you have to do more than just like send out like social media and recruit in that manner. And so as a result of our partnership with Rocket and some other organizations who wanted us to intensify and be more deliberate with reaching Detroiters, we thought this would be a great opportunity. Since we launched in 2019, reaching just 24% of Detroiters, I'm happy to report that in 2022, 46% of our outreach and our graduates are actually residents of the city of Detroit. And data that we've received far is such out earning individuals who are outside of Detroit. And so we do have a commitment to Detroit. I can assure you, as a lifelong Detroiter, born, raised, and stayed in Detroit, the commitment is there to make sure that we not just have 46%, but at least 50% of Detroiters who are enrolled in our programs and who are employable, or employed rather.
Okay, thank you for that.
That answers your question, David.
You answered my question in a sense that I truly believe you guys provide a valuable service, but just from a logistics standpoint, I just want to be clear on, because you won't be the only organization that will be doing something that can benefit people in Oakland County and Macomb and everybody else. How are we going to allocate our resources from that particular perspective? Is it going to be earmarked for those serving Detroiters, and the aspect of it, not that you can't serve the others, but the funds that you're requesting from us go to support the folks that we look to serve? And that's kind of, I'm just wanting, I'm not saying it should be or not should be. I'm just wanting to be clear, because, this is not clear, right? To me right now. And And I just want to make sure, because there are going to be others that can do similar things and have programs that are outside of the city of Detroit. And are we going to fund them the same?
And I certainly appreciate that. And I could certainly also offer and add that we make sure that all of our Detroit residents go through DESC, which is the local county workforce development entity, which has to make sure that they reside in the city of Detroit. So
Okay, that's good. I appreciate that.
yeah, so there are some checks and balances that we actually went through in the full proposal to be deliberate and to be specific and intentional about Detroiters.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it, and I feel comfortable now.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And agreed to Quine. This is definitely an important conversation that we will continue to have as we, receive more of these suggestions and we're working through these recommendations. Absolutely something that we will continue to spell out and add clarity around. And also to Quine, potentially something for structure and operations to spell out, not to assign you more work. But I think it's fantastic that we're having this conversation here. Are there any other questions about this recommendation in particular, or any recommendations that we've discussed thus far that folks feel like they didn't get an opportunity to ask their question? Okay, fantastic. Then we can move on to our next segment, and we are literally right on time of the annotated agenda. This is like somehow magical that we have stayed exactly on track. You can go to the next slide. So just, revisiting the question around tickets, we do still have a very limited amount of tickets for today and tomorrow that are available for Connect 313 members. And truly, as people have reached out and canceled for Saturday and Sunday, we're getting a couple in, and then I'm just giving them out to folks on the wait list. So please contact me directly if you had signed up for tickets and you haven't received them. If you want to be added to that wait list, please email me directly and we can see what we can do there. Q?
Yes, we have plenty of tickets, physical tickets here at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Even if Micah says if you want them today, she'll meet you at the front.
All right. There you go. That's what's up.
Give them my cell phone number. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Well, since you guys are here, the next part of this is, we just really wanted to share a little bit about the Rocket Mortgage Classic. It is, this golf tournament that's happening. This is where the Changing the Course initiative happens and provides a lot of our funding. And so we really wanted an opportunity to share out live from the field. So I will hand this over to Q and Micah, show off our booth. We got swag, we got people, we got all branded shirts. We're excited. Rocket Mortgage Classic.
We are excited. Oh, sorry, I forgot Q. Q and I are sitting here together. And as I started talking, we got feedback. But I'm gonna turn my camera around so you guys can see our lovely booth. I meant to turn my camera around. Okay, so here's our lovely Connect 313 tent, and Fadia, our community ambassador with Bridging Communities, is here with us. We have all types of swag. So we've got some bags, t-shirts, pins, pop sockets, all kinds of stuff here. We're located in the youth golf zone near the media center, right there. So this is the youth golf zone. We've got plenty of partners over here. First Tee, Midnight Golf, and Detroit Pal. And these are the tournament grounds. So lots of really cool stuff going on here. It's just a really great, fun family time. So I would love to see anyone who comes out. If you guys come out today, like I said, if you want to come today, I have tickets. Take my cell phone number. I'll meet you at the door. We have 28 tickets for today. But we do have tickets remaining for every other day as well. So if you do need tickets, let us know and we'll make sure to get them to you by any means necessary. There's a lot of Connect 313 signage here. And if you guys didn't know, the Rocket Mortgage Classic has been one of the primary fundraisers for Connect 313. So through the Changing the Course initiative, as Jordan mentioned, that's the fundraiser that has been able to raised so much money to Connect 313 so we can do great things in the community. We were able to help stand up Connect 313 in partnership with folks that you know are partners to Connect 313. So the city of Detroit, Rocket Mortgage Classic and Rocket Mortgage, Microsoft and United Way. So we all came together and it was made possible through funding from Rocket Mortgage Classic. So we'd love to see you guys here. Let us know if you're pulling up on us. Stop by the Connect 313 booth and make it a family fun day.
I second that, Micah. I've been to every booth out here. The youth are out here again today, and Connect 313 has the best booth. Okay.
And a big thank you to our community ambassadors who have been staffing that booth and been hyping us up and been talking to folks out in the field, about all of the great work of Connect 313. So we're really excited to actually have community ambassadors now who can be out here in the streets doing this great work. Oh, and there's baby Michael, our official child intern.
We have two Michaels.
Yes.
We got this Michael. I don't know if you guys can see. I don't know oh wait, I'm still on myself. Don't do that. Don't do that face. Don't do that. Stop, Michael. So we have this Michael and we have baby Michael. So
yeah, hey everyone. Fantastic. Yeah, showing off all of the stuff on the table. This is so great. I've been out there a couple of times. It's a big bustling event. It's actually like not as brutally hot today, so that's nice. Not quite as aggressive as it's been these past few days. So now is a great time to go check out this big bustling event. I see Shadora's capturing a lot of great live footage there. So we really appreciate everyone getting excited and participating in this event. And again, if you plan to attend, please stop by the booth. If you need tickets, we can hook you up. We're gonna make something happen here. And if you're having problems, let me know. Fantastic. And we'll link the video later if anybody wants to see the promotional things. And with that, we'll pass it back to our council members to do a little report out. So I believe we have Taquan on the line. I know Rhonda was not able to join. So we are just going to talk a little bit about the current policy that we are working on right now. So Taquan, if you want to just give a quick shout out on this.
Yes, I do. And I do want to note area of clarity that I needed for this slide. Sorry, I didn't ask earlier, was around the outcome section. So if you could put that in the chat, I'll go ahead and present now. But if you could clarify that, because that's two different things from the looks of it. So as Jordan teed up, our committee is currently working on a method where we can provide guidance to committee leaders on how to go about identifying vendors that could fulfill the needs that arise in the various suggestions that you all come across or the recommendations that you make. While this process or policy is not meant to be burdensome or red tape or restrictive, it's really meant to help facilitate a smoother and quicker implementation process once suggestions or recommendations are approved. And so we met as a group, met as a subcommittee, and then we met as a group again to really talk about the policy and what our intent is. And we have developed a draft, but we were cautious not to create unnecessary burdens on the process and in effect slow things down. So currently we're recommending that we apply this sort of policy for contracts that are either valued over the $50,000 threshold, which is our current threshold for items that must get approved by the board, or for contracts that are recurring. So for example, if we need a dedicated, and I'm making this up because this probably will never happen, but if we needed a dedicated caterer, for example, and the contract is, or the service that we need in any given year would only be about $10,000, but that's our go-to caterer. We want to make sure that we're applying the same policy to assessing who those vendors are. And when you all take a look at the policy, some of the considerations, we call them, include things like making sure that these are minority led, that they're Detroit based or resident owned. Absolutely making sure that the vendor has the required insurances and certifications to operate legally and are compliant with any city codes, for example. And our goal with this is really to make sure that we're meeting the vision and the mission and the standards of Connect 313 by keeping a list of or a database of vendors that reflect our city, but that also provides our committee chair the opportunity. Dara, can you mute? Thank you, ma'am. Offers our committee chairs more kind of like guide rails, because I know we're creating something new, right? And we want to make sure that we give you the support that you need to be successful. This suggestion actually came as a result of Mr. Underwood. I think you're the devices committee, right? I don't want to misspeak, but it came as a result of that committee. And so just wanted to provide that background. I'm going to open it up for any questions that folks have.
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to make a comment. And I'm just really going to speak on behalf of the sentiment that has come from the Devices and Connectivity Committee team as we have been meeting. That really has not been the major focal point of the discussion for Connect 313, but I think it's relative now as we move forward to actually doing a lot of this work. And that's number two, the selection criteria, where we're looking at minority led or owned. One of the key things that we do realize in our community is that Detroit is a majority African-American community. We also realize that this is a once in a lifetime type of situation we've been in, where this money from the federal government for infrastructure and the ARPA, American Rescue Plan funds, and all these different millions and billions of dollars that are being let. It has been the sentiment of my committee, and some members more than others, but the committee as a whole, we agreed to this idea and thought that this is a once lifetime opportunity for maybe the transfer of wealth and opportunity for empowerment. And therefore that we need to have a specific focus and understanding on helping those disadvantaged businesses of color, and even to be almost in specific to say Black and brown, because minority can get you into a whole lot of other areas as women and a whole bunch of other things. So, and not that I'm against any of that, but to be very specific in this particular community, we are a major African-American community, and we want to make sure that we keep in mind and keep in the forefront that at this juncture, we need to be empowering our community as well. And so that at the end of the day, the majority doesn't walk away with what they continue to get every time. And our community and the minority community and those people of color are left, if you will, with less than what they could have had if we would have been more intentional and specific on our focus on making sure that this particular time we do something that empowers our community as well as the whole community. So I just saying that to say that our committee and we feel that we need to be specific and intentional in making sure that we look for opportunities for Black and brown to prosper and to elevate their communities during this time.
Mic drop. Thank you, David. And I want to your point about the word minority, I'm pretty sure we said African American in the actual body of
Yes.
the policy that we drafted. So I think what they do is they do this in the chat now. So +1. Everything you said, absolutely. Any other comments or questions for regarding the vendor policy?
Fantastic.
I do have a question. This is JR. When we talk about African American and we talk about minorities, so where are we putting women in this, especially since they're oddly disproportionately represented in the IT space? Are we thinking in terms of African American women exclusively?
So in our committee, when we went over this, we actually took out because we had women and we actually took that out. There was discussion around that, but we actually took out the word women because someone literally said, well, that could be white women. And we really want to focus, our priority in this effort is making sure that we prioritize the demographics of the city. And so I don't know if that answers your question, JR, but we intentionally did not put that in there.
I guess I'm asking if we could, if there was consideration about saying African American women, since we're going to mine down and actually define what minority is for Detroit.
JR, with that, could you also explain, are African American men not disproportionately left out of the IT sector as well? Like, is there something, a distinction between the proportion of African American men and African American women in IT, like significant?
Yeah, I actually look at both as minorities. That's why I was kind of shook. And then I know that when you talk about women, and I personally I don't like the term minority, but underrepresented.
Right.
And so I would think that we're talking about like Black and brown people as well. But when it reads minority, I know there are a lot of other funding and vendor opportunities for minority that include women specifically. So that's why I was just raising the question. I didn't know if you guys had discussed that. And I am on that committee, but I did not opted out of the vendor policy. So I just wasn't clear.
Yeah, so we were intentional about saying African American and not distinguishing further to say African American and African American women, because African American women are included in African American.
Okay, thank you.
Language matters, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will have, sorry.
No, I was agreeing. I was saying absolutely.
Yeah, we will make the full policy available for feedback once we are like ready to go. So if people have, more of these specific questions at that time, or any, tweaks that they're like, oh, I really want to make sure that this is captured, or, we haven't called out this specific, what about the queer community? What about, new Americans? Like if there are things that we really want to call out, we will have the opportunity to add, any additional details in. With that, I think we're set. Yeah, I'm like, is it Black American? Is it African American? Is it,
So sorry, Jordan, to cut you off, and I see Zach's comment. So our focus, we're not doing this just so that we can check a box and say we're diverse. I want to be very clear that we're doing this with the intent of making sure that the vendors that come through our pipeline reflect the demographics of the city of Detroit. Like that is our focus, is looking at the city and making sure that we're not off base on opportunities that should be going to people that look like the majority of Detroiters, or, so it's not that, oh, we're just trying to make sure that we're diverse. We're literally using the demographics of the city as our guidepost when we're developing this policy. So to Zach's point, I just wanted to be very mindful about language because language matters and we're being intentional about the language. I apologize that the language on the screen doesn't necessarily reflect what's in the policy by using the word minority, I don't think, but I just wanted to provide that additional information that we're looking at the city as our guidepost. Sorry, Jordan.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yes, and we will be sharing the feedback form with the notes from this meeting. So anybody who wasn't able to attend will also be able to share their feedback. And anybody here who didn't have their thoughts fully articulated will also be able to share those in that feedback form. And with that, we want to talk a little bit about Digital Inclusion Week because it's coming up sooner than you think. So I'll hand that over to the committee.
Sooner than you think. That's this boy's birthday. Hey, everybody. I know that our committee vice chair, I know Kalina's on the call, but I just can't see everything that's going on because I'm on my phone. But just quick update on Digital Inclusion Week. We'll finalize location details by the end of this week. And so, we'll make sure everyone has that information. But we have determined that each day will have its own theme. All of the themes are listed here. So policy and leadership. We'll have an academic symposium, which is being led by Dr. Naima Wade. We'll have a day for focusing on small business where we'll have workshops and tangible tools and strategies for small businesses to grow and scale their businesses using online and digital tools. Connected Communities Day, where we'll do device distribution in some very, very engaging ways to connect with our community members and to help make sure that our community members are connected to the digital world and the opportunities that it brings. And then we'll have a Youth Day where we'll be able to work with members of our youth community. And so a few things to be on the lookout for that you'll be seeing come through Connect 313's listserv over the next few days. For one, we'll be issuing an RFP for a provider to lead the Youth Engagement Day. So full planning and support with our Youth Engagement Day. We'll also be doing a request for vendors. So I know that we talked about our new vendor procurement strategy. And so I will make sure that, we'll run this through structure and operations first, but we will be putting a call out to get some vendors for food, for DJ, and, for all the things, all the components that will be needed for Digital Inclusion Week. So, small businesses who can support in these ways, please direct them to those forms that you'll see that'll come out relatively soon. And I am going to pass to Kalina if you have anything else that you would like to add, Kalina. I won't put you on the spot, but
no, you're good.
I
I think you covered everything. I was just going to add to what was on the slide, the sponsorship package draft that we're developing, the PR marketing plan. We're working with Robert Schwartz, and that it is not too late to get involved. So it feels like October is around the corner because summer is when I know the Rocket Mortgage Classic, that's like tail ending of the summer. So it's not too late to get involved, but we are deep underway. So thank you, Micah.
I'll just hop in here and add about the research symposium that we have a call for proposals that is active. We had originally had a date to close it yesterday, but have decided to extend it until next week. At this point, we have 15 applicants who are academics and researchers and practitioners in the region who have some very interesting, compelling stories to share with us through their work. And so I met with the team this morning, a committee that was reviewing those proposals. We've given the green light to 11 out of those 15. And so we have a couple more slots available. We plan to have a really full day. Okay, JR, yep, I'll get you the link in just one second. Yes, they were shared via the newsletter. And also, I'm not sure, David, you can let me know if that other
the date's going on after this meeting.
Out. Okay, so it'll be going out with the new date later today. And so it'll be a really full day of learning. Micah and I, just before this meeting, went to view a couple of venues on Wayne State's campus. And so we're pretty sure we're gonna have that tied down, as she said. And if you have, work interventions that you've been doing or fellow academics who are connected to this work, please do a soft introduction to me. I'm happy to reach out to them and talk more about how they might align with what we're trying to accomplish through the inaugural research symposium. So are there any questions about anything that I've said besides what JR said, which I'll get the link right now. Well, it's in really good shape. We hope to have our full lineup ready to share out publicly to get some, to entice some registration, probably in the next 2 weeks, since the call for proposals doesn't close until next Wednesday. Thank you all.
Fantastic. So just as we are wrapping up here, just a reminder that the feedback form will be open shortly after this meeting, so that folks, anybody who has feedback or ideas or questions that they weren't able to address during today's call will absolutely have an opportunity to do so through that feedback form link. JR, where were the proposals shared? Do you mean the research symposium proposals? Yes. Okay. I guess that's a question for Naima. Where can we find out more about those proposals?
If she addressed it, she said she was going to send the link.
Okay. Yes.
Is that what you were asking, JR? You were asking for the link, or you asking to see the proposals?
No, the communication that went out. You said you had X amount of people that applied. I didn't know that there was a request that had gone out for that. That's all.
Yeah, I'm getting the link for you right now in the chat. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect. I thought you wanted to actually read all of the proposals, and I was like, I mean, sure, go nuts.
No thanks. No thanks.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So we will
Oh,
absolutely.
he's already on it. That's safe.
David? Oh, sorry. Perfect. So yes, we have that material available if anybody would like to apply. Naima has dropped the link in the chat if folks want to share their research. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so we just have, as we're closing up here, our upcoming meeting dates. So we have, another one of these council meetings coming up as we move forward. So, in September, we really want to make sure that folks are ready to go with their recommendations because the kind of final opportunities to present things to the Joint Assembly and the board are just really coming up. That November 15th date is our last board meeting for the year. So just a real reminder that we want to get recommendations from all the committees ready for September. Go to the next slide. Yes, so just remember that council meeting in September 29th is really kind of the last regular business council meeting for the year. So literally one more because in November, we begin the nomination process for new chairs. So we will have to dedicate some of the time for the November meeting for that. And that is also, the November meeting is too late to present anything to the board because the last board meeting of the year is November 15th. So it is after the board packet has already gone out. So we just want to keep reiterating for folks that there's just those 2 council meetings left of the year and really one more in September if you want to present something to the board. That's pretty much it. And then we do have community conversations. There's 3 remaining for the year, 1 at the end of next month and 1 in October. And then the December one, as you can see, is at the beginning of December because that is also the beginning of our election season. So if you're interested in being a chair for one of these committees, if you aren't already, that is your opportunity. So you would have a chance to nominate yourself in November, and then the election begins December 8th. So we have an opportunity for all of those potential candidates to talk during that meeting, during that community conversation. So just giving folks a quick rundown of everything that's coming up. And yes, just we do have these 2 groups, who who are doing the approvals. So we have a joint assembly and a board meeting in August, where all of the recommendations that were presented today will be put forth in an official capacity for approval. So we'll be able to report back at our next council meeting how that went. And then we do have 2 remaining joint assembly meetings after that point. So the one in October and the one in December. So we will have a final opportunity for that final November council meeting. If anything does get presented there, it can go to the joint assembly. But as you can see here, the last board meeting of the year is November 15th. So things that do not get into the September council meeting will unfortunately have to wait until 2023 to go to the board. So just want to keep kind of hammering home the cadence of these meetings so that there's no, surprises later in the year when folks are like, oh, well, I had it ready for the, November council meeting. Why didn't the board vote on it? Because the board meeting is like 2 days later. So we wouldn't have an opportunity to give the board any prep time to read that. Yeah, and just a reminder that we do have that community conversation in August. I think we have already identified several spotlight organizations, but if you or your organization would like to be a spotlight, you can always let us know. We're happy to have some spotlights show up for some of those meetings. I know that DSDT has a new program that they're working on launching for high school seniors that will be a free kind of computer training program. We've had some great presentations from like the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy on their, free work times at the riverfront. So, we're really looking for more opportunities to kind of get the word out about all of the great work that y'all are doing. So please reach out, info@connect313.org if you're interested in being a spotlight organization. Yeah, and if you have any questions, now is your opportunity. And we will hang out here for a couple of minutes if anybody has any questions that weren't addressed. And yeah, shout out for Detroit Riverfront Conservancy. We loved that presentation. But with that, thank you all for coming. Check us out on our socials. We can drop links to that. And oh, I see a hand raised. DeQuine?
If anyone actually has a question, please feel free to speak before me. Otherwise, I'm about to give a commercial. So,
sure.
If you got a question, please unmute. Going once, going twice. Commercial time. All righty. So I have a couple of updates. Given the people that are on this call, I just wanted to share some upcoming events I'm involved in with you so that you can share them with your networks. The first on August 8th, at 6 p.m. at the Code 313 Neighborhood Tech Hub on Learn It, I will be facilitating a free FREE workshop sponsored by Wayne Metro, teaching nonprofit leaders in the city how to prepare their organization for getting funded. This workshop again was designed for Detroit resident leaders, but obviously all are welcome. Please share with your networks. They can register at bit.ly/getfunded313. I couldn't copy and paste that in the chat, but also if you'd like me to bring this workshop to your organization, let me know because I love to talk. The other event that I wanted to let people know about is on August 16th. An organization that I am a board member of is partnering with Eastern Market and hosting an annual Health is Wealth Expo in Shed 3. It's going to be a family-friendly full day. They're going to have food, wellness screens. The Pistons will be there. They'll be doing testing and education. They'll have just a ton of stuff. They'll have panel discussions. It's going to be a full day. So you don't have to stay all day. You can come during your lunch break or after work or whatever. It is a Tuesday. They'll have outdoor activities for the kids, keeping them busy and engaged, different workshops and things going on, and also spotlighting Detroit businesses and organizations who operate in the wellness space. So we'll have vendor tables as well. So you can learn more or register to attend in advance to participate in the giveaway at healthiswealthdetroit.com. You can also register on site as well. And then last but not least, on August 27th, the Minority Freedom Community Fund will be hosting an event at Detroit Vineyards to highlight Detroit businesses and nonprofit leaders. There are only 40 tickets for this wine tasting available. It is August 27th, which is a Saturday from 12 to 3. If you're interested in purchasing a ticket, I don't have a bit.ly for that yet, so you can just email info@mifreedom, C as in cat, F as in Frank.org, and I'll get you the link to that. All right, that concludes my commercial. Thank y'all for listening.
So Quiet, if you can send me those links, I can include them in the recap.
Do you do the church announcements?
I used to, and boy, my voice was shaking, my knees were knocking. I used to be so nervous up there. Yes, I did, JR.
Kasara, I see a hand raised.
Yes, I do have a quick announcement as well. I will not do a long, lengthy church announcement though. DAAA has a senior project fresh, where we have free coupon books worth $25 for Michigan grown fruits and vegetables for seniors. You do have to be Detroit, Hamtramck, Harper Woods, Highland Park, or one of the 5 Grosse Pointe residents. I'll actually post a link that might help even better. But we have a couple more coming up. We have one at August 1st at Northwest Activity Center, and then another at a church in Harper Woods. But like I said, I'll share and shut up now. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. We love that. All righty. It seems like we don't have any additional questions. So thanks everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to hopefully seeing some of you at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And then all of this information will also be gathered up and shared in the follow-up email here. So no worries about scrambling to try and save the chat. And we'll make sure to get that out to you with the feedback form. So thanks everyone for attending. This was a great meeting. Bye now.
Thanks, everybody.
Great meeting. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.